You're live.
Okay. Shalom. We are the I.S.U.P.K. coming out of 5th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yahanna. Today's topic has to do with the worst of Esau. Because I know a lot of people like to lump, Esau just into one, whole lump. Yeah, which that's cool. Yeah, they are all Esau, but you got a doctrine out there now that's only teaching that the Jewish man is Esau. While, the other Caucasian races, they say that they're Japhet or whoever, or just blend them into everybody else. While they just say that they, them alone by themselves are Esau. And why do they say this? One thing, they are the worst of all the stocks of Esau. That's one of the reasons why, that it seems to give that to make it semi-seemingly legit, which is not, because it's not true. All the Caucasians are Esau. That is what it is. Now, the Jewish man is a different stock of them, right? That is what it is. He's a different stock. They almost split like into two nations, almost like Israel and Judah. Almost like that. Are we seeming to be two nations, right? But what Amalek is to the house of Esau is almost like what the house of Judah is to the other 12 tribes, to the other 11 tribes. It's just kind of similar, right? All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with Exodus chapter 17 and verse 16. For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek. It said Amalek specifically, from generation to generation. What does that mean? So who's the Lord? Who's the top people that the Lord is fighting against right now? It's them, right? Even though they make up a few numbers, they're their own nation. They're like what just like what I just mentioned before, like the house of Israel and the house of Judah being split into two. Well, the same thing. It was a similar thing with them. You have Esau and then Amalek. That's why Amalek is spoken of specifically, and he's just not just lumped in with the rest of Edom, even though he's of the physical seed of Esau himself. For he said, because the Lord have sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. That's one of the reasons why they're the slickest and most crafty of all the families of Esau. And what they lack as far as in physical might and all of that, like now, because they're there's only about 14 million of them or something like that, somewhere in that area. They make up for in their ability to play people against one another, which is all an aspect of war too. Divide and conquer. They're actually experts at it. They're even better than the rest of Esau with it. Because for one thing, if they make up such a small population as far as, nation-wise on the face of the earth, they have to be more tricky and more crafty and better and more skillful at playing everyone against themselves, against each other and against themselves, so that they stay hidden. Right. That's what they got to do. All right. Now what we're going to go to we're going to go into Genesis chapter 36. And we're gonna also show where the split started, because this thing has an origin to it.
Some people have questions.
Oh, okay.
He said, Isaiah 63:1, Isaiah chapter 63, verse 1 through 4, he asking for a breakdown.
All right. Isaiah 63, verses 1 through 4.
Right.
Turn to it. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? All right. Bozrah, in case people didn't know, was actually the chief city inside of the nation of Edom. Just like, we had Jerusalem. Well, Esau had Bozrah. That was the city of their glory. As a matter of fact, when you can look at one of the old Bibles that come out in like the '60s, and you go back to the little thing in the back of the Bible where they have the dictionary, you can look up Bozrah there, and it'll say a city in Rome. That's right. What it says in one of those old Bibles, that come out in the '60s, back in the back of it, which was pretty much their chief city. Where will Bozrah be at today? Bozrah will be wherever the glory of that kingdom is. Wherever the glory is, of their nation. Bozrah will pretty much actually be like America today, because this is the glory and the excellency of Esau right here. This is the most powerful he's ever been, and this is the treasure city, because that's what Bozrah was. Bozrah was also known for having, great herds and flocks and nice, healthy sheep and grass and plains, and it was just the richest place, like what Ramses was to ancient Egypt. What Ramses is the name of the city? Ramses, the city, the treasure city inside Egypt.
Sound like one of them.
Yeah. That's what it was like the glory of that place. All right. Who is this that come from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why does it say that the Most High is coming from Bozrah? Because he's going to destroy the glorious city and all the pride and the excellency of Esau. And why is his garments dyed? Because his garments are going to be soaked in the blood of the ones that of the children of Esau. All of the top elite families, all of that. His garments going to be soaked with their blood. Their descendants, their children, all of that.
All right.
Traveling in the greatness of his strength, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thy apparel? Now the prophet Isaiah is asking, why are you red in your apparel? Come from a glorious garment to that garment being soaked in red, like it was dyed. And thy garment like him that treadeth the wine fat. Because the garment is going to be full of blood. And where is he coming out of? Bozrah. So anybody that run around trying to say, oh no, the Esau is the Arabs, the Saudi Arabians, and all of that. The Saudi Arabians are not the most. He's coming from the most powerful places. The Lord is not coming to fight, directly to go fight the number 10 top nation or the number 15 or 20 top nation on the earth. He's coming to fight number one. Who's number one? The man that we call the white man today. He's number one. The Most High coming to take him out, because that's how, it's just like in boxing. If you're the best boxer, who do you want to fight? If you believe that you're the best boxer, even though you're not in the rankings among, everybody or whatever, but you believe that you are the best, you're going to want to fight number one. Well, that's who the Lord is coming back to fight. Number one, who sits at the top today? Let me give you a clue. Who's known for having the best military today? I never even saw the Saudi Arabian military. Have you got?
I've seen it, but it's mainly uses the American military as it's like if you attack Saudi Arabia, America's gonna attack you.
Oh, there we go.
And they have bases. They have military bases there full of American military stuff. So
Right.
whenever America want to start invading some country in the Middle East, they'll gather together in Saudi Arabia on the bases, and so they can be safe and be like have a base.
Right.
And then they'll launch from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
So Saudi Arabia is basically their bitch.
Yeah, I kind of figured that, just like along with Israel also, because that's the in reality, Israel is like the Jewish man's own personal army, to be honest with you.
Right.
It's just like that. You know, the Israeli military is like their personal army, and they attack whoever they want them to attack. And this is the reason why that they can even so fewer numbers, and they don't have the military might themselves personally as a nation, but it's who they ally themselves with and their ability. They have a strong ability to play people against one another.
Right.
They have the strongest ability to be able to do that than any people on the face of the planet post-flood, which we're going to go into that too. What I mean by post-flood means after the flood that happened during the time of Noah. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. Now, what does the Lord mean by this? He said, because there's no nation upon the face of the planet that's on the Lord's side in this. Just like they have y'all messed up in the TV and the Christian movies that they come out with, Megiddo and all of those different movies, like America's going to be fighting on Jesus' side when he come back.
Right.
That's why it says, of the people there was none with me. What is it? This ain't talking about individual people. This is talking about nations of people. No nation of people is with them. They are all allied with one another to jump Christ. You know what I'm saying? That's what they out there to do.
Right.
You know, it's a global conspiracy against Christ right here. That's why he said there's no, there's none with me. For I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. That's why he saw him in the vision, with his garment turned soaked with blood. That's why. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Now, who is this redeemed? 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. It's not everybody. Oh, Christ just come to redeem everybody that believes. Well, that's, you will redeem somebody means you're saving them out of something. No other nation is in this type of peril other than the nation of Israel, who has no defense. That's the nation that's in peril right there, and that's the nation that has to be redeemed. You do anything to any other nation of people on the planet, they have somebody to speak for them. Not only to speak, but to carry out action if need be. Even the weaker, smaller nations, the weakest, smaller nations have allies. You just can't go out here and just do something to a Sudanese. Right. You just can't. The American, think about it. With all this immigration going on right now, they can't sit there and just start rounding up Sudanese and throwing them into detention centers, because they're going to have Sudan to answer to, even though Sudan doesn't have the military might, but they have allies that do. Just like what the captain was just bringing out with the whole situation with Saudi Arabia. They stunners over there. Right. You know what I'm saying? They are filthy rich stunners of the house of Saud, and what do? They line themselves with stronger military forces like the United States. And if they have the United States as their ally, then they have Israel as their ally also. That's the reason why other Arabian factions can't come in and take what it is that they have out of the house of Saud. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Any more questions, Cap?
Yeah. The brother said, can a heathen woman be virtuous?
Okay. Is it possible for her to do good? Yeah, it's possible for her to do. Let me ask you this question, as a matter of fact, because I'm gonna have to answer your question with a question. All right. When we're at camp every weekend. How many white women are coming through and filling up the donation bucket? Now, we've been running camps since 1969.
Right.
I've never seen one camp where a white woman has emptied out her bank account to the school and be like, look, y'all got the truth and my virtue. I'm going to make these sacrifices so that y'all keep pushing this truth.
Right.
Have you ever seen it, Cap?
Wow.
I've never seen it either. And we've been around since 1969. Well, that's over 50 years.
Right.
And that's never happened. Now let that sink in for a second. Then ask yourself the same question that you just asked. No. Obviously, it's impossible. I'm just saying. Not going on my biasness towards my nation or any of that, just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Just out of being honest. Obviously, it's virtuously, it's impossible. It just is what it is. Is any of them doing what any of the sisters in the scriptures did?
Right.
How many are doing that? And see, here's the funny thing about us, though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't crapping on the person that asked this question, but I'm just saying, a heathen can do, this is why the Most High allows heathens to treat us so evil. This is the reason why. Because we judge everything based on this evil slave double standard.
Right.
If a black man or black woman does something, we'll equate it to them, okay, that was a good thing they did, and then we'll bury it. You know what I'm saying? We'll bury it. But if a heathen does something, just because we're so used to them treating us like garbage, and we're afraid of them, he do the simplest little thing. He helped a little black child across the street. We swear up and down, the gates of heaven just open.
Right.
That right there is the reason why the Lord allows these nations to treat us like garbage. That's the reason why. What was that scripture in Isaiah 59 when it says we roar like lions or something and mourn sore like doves? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Crying out because of the oppression, you know. That's the reason why the Lord allows that. Okay. Any more questions, Cap? So my answer is flat out no. It's not. From what I've seen, no, it's not. It's not possible.
He said, none but saying that because Boaz said that about Ruth. I know she Israel.
Yeah, Ruth was an Israelite. Israelite living in Moab. So, because a lot of people love to use that, you know, love to use the whole scenario with Ruth also. Look at what Ruth did. Now, what this person just mentioned will also start to teach him as he starts to look inside and look at what Ruth did. Ruth spared no expense. And you know what she also did too? Even though she didn't live in Jerusalem at the time, she made sure that whatever resource she had, she made sure that the people were fed inside Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? With the famine going on.
Right.
What white women are doing that? And if the white woman has an appearance of her doing that, it's because she's working for some organization that's only campaigning, you know what I'm saying, to colonize the damn neighborhood, just like they do all over the earth. She's not doing it because she wants to empower that people. She's doing it because she wants that people to love her people and stay slaves for the next 100 years. That's why she's doing it. You know, and you know, because she's going to take care of her people. She's going to make sure her people is taken care of. It's awfully funny because it was only one people that Ruth cared about.
Right.
She wasn't caring about two nations at the same time. She only cared for one nation, and that was the nation of Israel. That's it. That's all she cared about. Show me a white woman that's doing that. Show me. I mean, if she was to care about nothing but solely about black people, right? Her people will be okay. Her people will be fine because you got many of people that help them in times of trouble, right? You have many of people that help them. She would help the people that no one else wants to help, and she would be biased. She would be, she would turn on her own people if she was actually good like that, and not because she getting some dingling from some black man, not because of that.
Right.
She would do this out of, thinking to herself, wait a minute, these people have nobody. Okay, my people is all right. My people is good. We have billionaires and skyscrapers and all the resources we need. Somebody's going to help them. But this people here, no one is going to help them. So let me help them. When's the last time you seen a white woman say that?
Right.
You never heard that. Those words come out of a white woman's mouth in your life. And you know what? Guess what? You never will. So now that question is answered. Any more, Cap?
Somebody just had a comment. They said, saw a church video. First thing pastor demand was tithes and offering.
Right. Because what does he want to do? He wants your money. And that's what he's there for. He's straight up him. He wants that cheese. That's what he cares about off top. You, on the other hand, he can give a damn less.
He said, somebody said, can I get a breakdown of Acts 13, 45, Acts chapter 13, verse 45 through 46.
Acts. Okay. I'm gonna start at it's 45 through 46. I'm gonna start at about 44. Acts chapter 13 and verse 44. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of God. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Now, we have to think for a second. Now, when it said when the Jews saw, what is this talking about? The people that were citizens of Jerusalem.
Right.
Not all of us were citizens of Jerusalem. A large portion of us had never even been in Jerusalem. So what were they considered? They were considered Gentiles. But you have people here that were, that were brought up in Jerusalem, that were born in Jerusalem. This is, you know what this is similar to? This is similar to the fake Israelite groups that don't embrace the other tribes. They say all the tribes were only Negro, and no Hispanics or any of that is Israel. So how do they look at them? So when they hear us speak, talking about, the Native Indians is Gad and such, what do? They get angry.
Right.
They get pissed off. Well, you had the same thing going on right here. It's the same deal. You had Hebrews that never been to Jerusalem before, that lived in Spain, hell, that lived in Greece, that lived in Italy, that lived in all of these different places, that lived in Arabia, that lived in, all of these different places and everything, right? And what were they perceived as to the Jews? They were perceived as Gentiles. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, it was necessary that the word of God should first be spoken to you, but seeing ye put it from you and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. What Gentiles were they turning to? Like I said, the ones that lived in other places that were not even brought up, in the law or any of that. The ones that were brought up as, hell, they run around thinking they're damn Spartan or something. You know what I'm saying? They run around thinking that they're, whatever, whatever the case is. And a lot of them's parents who grew up in different, different religions and stuff like that. These dudes are Buddhists. Think about it. Who will we have to go for when the truth first hit? Who did Ivor Bivens go for first? The people that will be equated to the Jews today. He went to the commandment keepers. Am I right, Cap?
All right.
He went to them. Someone that was supposed to be practicing the laws of the Most High. He went to them first. But he had to leave them because they did not believe in Christ. And then not only that, but a lot of them were selling out to the Jewish man. Right. So he couldn't stay with them. Where did he have to go to? He had to go to the people that those same commandment keepers would call Gentiles. You know what I'm saying? They would call them Gentiles. Or like my great grandmother used to say, she used to call, anybody that didn't go to church was a heathen. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's an old, back in your great grandmother. So he went to those three brothers and they, came together and started this school. It's the same thing going on here. And those brothers didn't even know nothing about the truth at all. They were considered what? In the eyes of the people like the commandment keepers and the ones that was following the Jewish man and all of that, they were considered Gentiles to them. And that's who Ivor Bivens went to. He went right to them after that. But he operated in that type of order, though. You know what I'm saying? Everything that he did was in order. He got the truth. Or was it Alabama, Cap?
Yeah, Florida, Alabama, just south.
Right. He got the truth there. But in the wisdom that the Lord blessed this brother with, he knew where to go with it. He didn't go and build up right there. He went right to where he needed to be, right among the people, you know what I'm saying? Just like what Christ did. Christ took the truth. He went right to the people he was supposed to go to first. When they rejected him, then he had to branch out. Then he had to spread out. And that's where he started to get the disciples from, from that. No more questions?
He said, so if these was Jews with a Gentile state of mind, why did Paul say turn to Gentiles?
Well, like I just explained, that's why I gave the scenario of what happened with Ivor Bivens. He went to the people that he figured should be the first ones to accept it. Right? From there, he turned to some men that would otherwise be considered Gentiles because they grew up in other stuff. You know what I'm saying? They grew up in other things. They didn't grow up with the knowledge of the truth. He turned to those men, and the school started to be built through them. I had already answered that question.
Another question. It's like, sir, can I get a breakdown of 2 Peter 2 and 15?
2 Peter 2 and 15. Gotcha. Hard to find Peter.
Yeah, 2 Peter 2 and 15.
Okay. Trying to find a book of Peter. Get up or something.
Yeah, I can read it for you.
Okay.
Second Peter chapter 2, verse 15. Which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bosor,
Oh,
who loved the wages of unrighteousness.
now who is this talking about? Let's equate this to today. It said, following the ways of Balaam.
Yeah.
Now think about it for a second. We want to know the ways of Balaam, right? Where do we flash back to? We flash back to Balaam the sorcerer, because that's who it's talking about, going in his way. And what did Balaam do? Balaam was prophesying for gain, just like what T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, and all of them do. He was looked at like that, and the dude had some power. You know what I'm saying? And his power was real. He was the T.D. Jakes. That's who T.D. Jakes reminds me of. He reminds me of Balaam the sorcerer. You know what I'm saying? Can you read that part again, Cal?
Anyone 16 and 17 is 15. Which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bosor.
Now, you had men, back then that forsook the way. They knew the way, right? Just like Balaam the sorcerer. He knew the way, but he decided, no, he wanted that gain. He loved the money that he was getting from them kings, and all of that. He loved the riches and the honor that he was getting from all of them, and he chose that way. Who is the equivalent of today? The Christian pastors.
Right.
The black Christian pastors, black and Hispanic Christian pastors too. You got that one Hispanic brother that just got busted for that big old huge sex traffic ring.
Right.
A Hispanic brother, the Christian pastor. The same deal. That is the way of Balaam that it's talking about.
Verse 16. But was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass speaking with man's voice forbade the madness of the prophet.
Well, the Most High had to step in, to that whole situation. And the Most High had to step in, to stop him from cursing the nation of Israel. So who's going to have to step in against these mega pastors and all that? They do have some power, because kings on the earth are honoring them. Kings on the earth are honoring T.D. Jakes. So in a certain sense, he's kind of protected. In a sense, because he has, he's almost like he's up there, damn near like with world leaders.
Right.
He's their dog, of course, but hell, he's still in that, he's in that room with them. He's in bed with them pretty much, with the world leaders.
Right.
As having control over black people, just like Balaam the sorcerer was during the time of Moses.
There's more. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest.
Now, think about it for a second. It said the wells without water. Now, you see a well's known for having water.
Right.
Just like, what would the equivalent to that be in a natural, like a faucet? You see a faucet in the sink, what do you automatically think? You automatically think water comes from that faucet in that sink. So if you're thirsty, your mouth starts to water, you start to think, I could go to this sink and get some water.
Right.
But when you turn it, there's nothing coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a bad situation right there. Now, how does that have? That has you mad. You trusted that the sink was going to have water. It's just like people look at the Christian pastors and all of that once they've been deceived by that Christian pastor once he sleeps with your wife.
Right.
You came to him in thirst. You needed marriage counseling. You came to him in the thirst for that counseling, for what you thought was going to be the word and the counsel of God coming from him. Next thing you know, the only thing he did was trash you and slept with your wife.
Right.
It's a horrible situation. That's why it calls them wells without water, because the well's known for having water. You see the well, and until you get to look inside that bad boy and find that it's nothing but a dry pit on the inside. It's a horrible feeling right there. Get out of the Christian church.
Clouds that are carried with a tempest.
Whatever way the storm blows, whichever way the storm blows is where they blow. The next thing that comes up, the next doctrine that whatever the white man pushes, the doctrine he pushes, he says, I'm not Esau. Esau is the Saudi Arabians. Then they go to that. They blown that way.
Right.
Then they say, the Israelites are the Limbas.
Yeah.
They're blown that way. They go on that. Whatever seems expedient for them at the time is the doctrine that they go up under, that they say the Igbos. The Igbos are this. They're blown that way. They're just blown, and wherever, whatever seems to be profitable, they just hop on board with whatever it is. After they say back in the day, riding the bandwagon.
Right.
The bandwagoners. And did you read the clouds part again, Cap?
Clouds that are carried with a tempest.
Whichever way the tempest blows is which way that they blow.
Right.
They just go that way. They blow this way. They go this way. There's no, there's a scripture say an evil woman is yanked to and fro.
Right.
And you have the men that she's yanked to and fro.
Unstable man is.
Right, double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. There you go. He's followed after whatever lust it is. Lesbians want to come into the church. LGBTQ, whatever. T.D. Jakes is a prime example of that. What does he say about gay people now?
Right.
He says things that he would have never said 20 years ago.
Right.
Farrakhan, the same thing. They're now accepting things that they never would have accepted 20 years ago because they're riding the wave. The clouds blown by the tempest. The tempest blow this way, they go that way.
Right.
Blow this way, they go that way. They say now the next thing is they saying now child molestation is what do they say about child molestation? It's just a mental disorder, or it doesn't do the child harm or some stuff like that. They'll be blowing in that direction too. Because now all the molested pastors that want to molest children and all of that, now they got a license to do it now. So they blown in that direction too.
Verse 17.
What are they saying? What are the Christian pastors saying about ICE?
Right.
They're not saying anything about ICE. You know what I'm saying? Nothing at all. This would seem like a huge topic that somebody inside these mega churches will want to talk about.
Right.
How come everybody's quiet? Well, because the tempest blew them in a direction telling you, shut your damn mouth.
Right.
Shut up. The tempest blew them that way, and that's the way that they're going. Because they're scared of losing what they have. All right. Any more, yeah?
To whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever.
Says to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. If they're reserved to darkness, it means they will never see the truth.
Right. They'll
never see it. And whenever, the white man turns on them, it's a done deal. They're going to be, who else was hit with the mist of darkness? Sodom and Gomorrah, the men that came and knocked on Lot's door.
Right.
The angel did something, hit them, with blindness, struck them with blindness. To where they all groped about, in that blindness. And it says, what does that scripture say again, Cap?
To whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever.
There you go, right there. And that's proof also, that your pastors out there are sodomites. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just like what we was talking about before, who is at the very top and totally controlling them? Well, let me give you a hint. Remember that thing, that the whole ceremony with Eddie Long, where they was lifting him up, carrying him and calling him the king of Judah up under the Jewish man.
Right.
was over him. That same man that we talking about, Amalek, whom the Lord declared war with from generation to generation, was the same, was the shadow figure, the shadow government behind him. There's a shadow government behind damn near every evil thing that you could think of. I mean, hell, I can't even say damn near. I mean, every evil thing that you can think of, they monopolize all of it. Right. And this stuff is nothing new. It's nothing like the scripture say. There's nothing new under the sun. You know, there's a book that say from Cain to Esau. Ain't it a book out? From Cain to Esau.
I never read it myself.
Yeah, it's you know, I think it's a book out there that's called From Cain to Esau, which shows, you know, Esau pretty much being Cain post-flood, because everything picked up where it left off. Before, so, you know.
I was gonna say, somebody had a comment for it. They said, young man Brandon said, "Come on, sir, the water, sir." So would Isaiah 8:20 fit this in 2 Peter?
Isaiah 8:20.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Yes, that goes directly. Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, I like to parallel that with another scripture when the scripture where it talks about the despising governments. Yes, it does tie in perfectly, young man Brandon. Ties in perfectly. And I got something else also to add with that also. When it talks about the same type of people right here. And this is where you also, the clearest shining example of this is the fake Israelites that are out there that don't believe in being, you got the no campers out there.
Right.
You know, where it talks about these people despising governments, you know, they despise, you know, having to take orders from anyone, the governmental system. We're supposed to be a government just like every other nation is on the face of the planet. I mean, how are you going to get anywhere? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to get anywhere? You just like, you know, it's all magic. The Most High is just going to put the nation together by magic. He never operated like that before. The Most High never sat there and said, presto, and then the nation just come together. That's not how stuff works.
Right.
You have to have a governmental structure. You have to have that. That's one of the biggest fears. That's why one of the biggest fears of the white man of us, you know, even in the carnal sense, is that we will start to be organized.
2 Peter 2:10.
2 Peter 2:10.
But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government.
Right. Now this is everyone that sat there that goes against the camps. You know what I'm saying? Even the ones that even go against fake Israelite groups, because you got to look at their intent. You know what I'm saying? Their intent, they ain't got to follow no man. No man, you know, and they ask them who taught them. They don't even want to say that they learned the truth from men. They act like Jesus just came down, you know, just for them, right?
Right.
And then sat at the table with them and taught them personally. You see what I'm saying? A whole lot of sisters is like that too. They hate that structure, that despise. These are the people that the scripture is talking about, despising governments right there. They hate structure. They hate having to answer to someone. You see what I'm saying? But they want to be leaders themselves, though.
Right.
They want to be, you know, those dudes like that, they end up becoming nature boy. That guy, nature boy,
right?
They end up becoming that. And they end up, you know, these dudes, and here's another thing about them, too. Those type guys always trying to sleep with somebody's wife. They always are. You read that part with the lust and uncleanness again, Cap?
But chiefly them that walk after the flesh.
That's what they do, because they don't have to answer to anybody. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to answer to anybody. So what's going to happen? You know, they have no brotherhood. They have no correction. They have no anything, right? And they're just walking after the flesh. So what does that mean? what is important in this Bible starts to become less important to them because they start to even view themselves as being greater than what's in here.
Right.
That's what they do. They ended up becoming the Negro version of Jim Jones. You know what I'm saying? That's what they end up becoming. Any more, Cap?
Yeah. You want that more in the scripture or the next question?
Is there any more in the scripture?
God. Presumptuous are they. Self-willed.
Self-willed. Because like I just said, the law becomes, they become, what they have their own mind of what the law actually is. They become this wicked version of a law unto themselves.
Right.
Where they can sit there, it was a situation where you had that group, IGIC.
ICGJC.
Yeah, that group right there, where their leader was taking men's wives. He was taking other men's wives, kicking them out of his organization, and telling the wives, though, that they can leave these men because they kick those men out. Now, is that lawful? No, it's not lawful, but they said they're kicking these men out and their wives stay because in reality, their wives want the pastor for real, just like in the Christian church, And what were they doing? They started wiping those same men's wives. Of course, while those men were alive and just booted out of their organization. Wow, look at that right there. These dudes, you come in with a wife and you decide, wait a minute, hold on, man, this shit ain't right, man. You leave, your wife's like, I'm staying. The next thing you know, you take your wife.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you imagine how many times that goes on? That's self-willed. Self-willed right there. You're not supposed to, even if that man is out of the organization, you know what I'm saying? And he still want to keep his wife, even though he's out of the organization or whatever, that's still a married couple. That's still husband and wife.
Right.
You can't sit there and, you know what I'm saying, and just take that man's wife. That's self-willed. And see, when you, how do they say, not power doesn't corrupt, but
but absolute power corrupts.
Absolute power corrupts. You see what I'm saying? And this dude has absolute power because one thing, he's not linked with the Lord. Because the Lord didn't choose him to lead the nation. You know what I'm saying? The Lord did not choose, and in that world, he has absolute power. He's the self-willed part again, Cap.
Presumptuous are they. Self-willed.
Self-willed. And if you're self-willed, you're not connected with the Lord. So he makes his own rules. He has all of these people up under him and makes all of his own rules.
There's some more on it too.
Okay.
They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities.
Who do they speak against? They speak against the ISUPK.
Right.
They speak against Commander GEN.YAHANNA, not judging anything righteously because they ain't even looking at that man's works, nor even give him any credit for his works at all.
Right.
Instead, they'll be like, what they say about black women and why he want a man to why a man gotta obey another man, but they don't have this problem on their damn job, though, do they?
Right.
They don't have a problem if they're in the military, the police force, or whatever job it is they work. They don't mind answering to a man then.
Right.
But being the fact that we're men not connected with the white man, now there's a problem following orders from us. There's a problem now. Cap?
That's it on that scripture.
Okay.
There's some other questions though.
Cover.
Somebody asks on Acts chapter 13, verse 42. If these was Jews with Gentile state of mind, why did they not join the synagogue? As we know, salvation is for the Jew. Why did they not join in?
Okay, hold on. Let me go back to that. You said
Acts 13 and 42.
All right. Okay. You answer the question again, Cap? Ask the question.
Acts 13 and 42. If these were Jews with Gentile state of mind, why did they not join in the synagogue? As we know, salvation is for the Jew. Why did they not join in?
Well, they already had a problem with the Apostle Paul, right? They already had a problem with him. And what do they say if they have a problem with the I.S.U.P.K? You know what they don't do on 10th Street? They don't come into the school on 10th Street.
Right.
As simple as that. They don't come into the school. They got a problem with us, you know what I'm saying? For instance, that guy Superman. Did he came back? No. Because now the problems that they have with the real men of the Lord is now being manifest, and their hatred is coming out now, right? When they was able to mask it, kind of hide it a little bit before. Now they don't even want to come into the synagogue.
Here's another scripture too. Question. You want it?
Okay.
A breakdown on Revelations 13 and 1. I'm about to read it.
Okay.
Revelations 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Now we know that those are the European powers right there. And when the beast had the crowns represent rulership.
Right.
Who's in power today? What they call it, the 10 common markets. Ain't that what they call it, Cap?
Right.
You know?
Commonwealth, United
Right.
Nations, all types of things.
Right. You know? That beast coming out of the sea is the white man. What does it have to do? It has to rise up out of the sea.
Right.
You know? Sea a lot of the times is also, among all nations, they are the ones that risen up, have been risen up.
Right.
Rise up, and crowns is upon the heads of each one of the heads, which represent all of them together are one power structure. All of them together, one nation of people that all have power on the earth right now. And all the other ones that have power, just like when it talks about, the ones that have an hour with the beast, right? The ones that have received their kingdom after 1 hour with the beast. Think about it. Look at all the nations up under them that have got filthy rich.
Right.
There wasn't like that 60 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that 60 years ago. Look at India. 40 years ago, was India like what it is today? Look at Thailand. Look at all of these places after 1 hour with this beast that has the crowns. All of those people have become rich and powerful. And the beast represents the one nation that is providing them all. Any more questions, Cal?
Come on. Isaiah 49, 5 and 6. I got it.
Come.
Isaiah 49 and 5. And now saith the Most High, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Most High, and my power shall be my strength. In verse 6, and he said, it is a light that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth.
Okay. Now, when it talks about gathering now notice Gentiles also has two meanings. The Israelites, And it could also mean the heathens also. Now, with the tribes of Israel being gathered, how are we going to be a light to the Gentiles? Well, the Japanese man will stop eating squid. You see what I'm saying? Because in order for them to be our servants, right, they got to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? For them to be real good servants, just like us up under this kingdom, you know, they have had ways to have the slaves big, strong, and healthy because they can be more productive. And who was the light, the false light to us? They were. You know what I'm saying? They was the false light, and we served them for that light. Well, it's going to be the same way here. Can you read that part again, Cap?
Which part? The preserved of Israel?
Verse, what was it, 6?
Okay, come on. And he said, "It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob."
To raise up the tribes of Jacob, the 12 tribes, right?
"And to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles."
The preserved of Israel is the ones that, you know, that are actually, because notice it uses the name Jacob and Israel. When it talks about, you know, the raise up the tribes of Jacob, this is what we're talking about, the ones that ain't even in the truth.
Right.
And the preserved of Israel is the ones that the Lord's kept from, you know, destroying and everything. Just like when we out there on the block and everything, some dude, you know, come out with a gun or something, or whatever the case is. The Lord, what is he doing? He's preserving us. We in the work. You know what I'm saying? And it says to raise up the tribes of Jacob. Now, the Gentiles that it's talking about here, what are they going to do? They're going to learn from us. Just like they, you know, just like they following, you know, us today with whatever we do. We wear our hat backwards, what they do. They turn their hat around backwards too. That doesn't mean that they're going to be with us like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be serving us, and we will be a light unto them, because they will stop the, you know, abominable practices that they're doing. It doesn't mean that they're going to be heirs with us, fellow heirs. That's not what that's talking about. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're going to be, you know, they're going to learn the right ways again and how to be the best servants of us that they possibly can be. You know, if the Chinese man, because he wants the curses come off of us, right? It's going to go up on them. So who they going to have to come to learn how to get them up off of them? Let me give you a clue. What happened during the time when Rome fell? Who did they have to come to? And guess what? Those men that showed them how to take baths and how to do this and how to do that were a light unto the Gentiles. You know what I'm saying? Right. They were a light to them. They taught them how to get the gonorrhea off their ass. You know? They taught them how to, you know, you ain't supposed to be screwing no goddamn goat. Right. You know what I'm saying? They taught them things like, you know, how to, you know, to pretty much, that was the way that they started to come up out of their fall, because if our people didn't do that, there would be no rise of white people. They would have wasted away. They would have been done. Their name, they would have fulfilled their name. Their name actually, Esau, means wasted away is he. They would have done that right then if it wasn't for our help. And we were what to them? A light unto the Gentiles. Well, it's going to be the same thing again. It's going to be with all of these other nations. The Japanese man is going to stop eating squid. The Chinese man is going to stop being brutal towards dogs. And everything is going to be used for its own purpose. They're going to stop eating shellfish. Because the shellfish is going to do what? The shellfish is going to be used to clean the ocean like what it's supposed to be. It's going to be used for that purpose. And everything being set back into order, you know, with everything being set back into order like it was supposed to be, because we're going to be a light unto them and they're going to be following us. So now, you know, everything is going to be able to go back to where it's supposed to be at. You're not going to have lions walking through the city. You know what I'm saying? All kinds, because everything is going to go back to where the way it is supposed to be. Because why? Because we will be a light unto the Gentiles. That's how. Not that they're going to be heirs with us or any of that. They're going to learn how to serve us just like we learned how to best serve them in this kingdom.
All right. This is another question. Okay. Is Revelations 13, verse 10, a view or opinion that is incorrect, because based on faulty thinking or understanding, some are teaching Gentiles will get this. Revelation 13:10.
Okay.
Revelations 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
And it said, he that. Now, prophetic language, when it talks about he, it's not talking about one man. Now you have to think for a second. And he said, what in the question said only Gentiles is going to say what he said?
He said, is it a view or opinion that is incorrect, because based on faulty thinking or understanding, some are teaching Gentiles will get this.
That Gentiles will go into captivity? Well, that's true. That's not based on no opinion. This scripture is laid out plain. It said, he that leadeth into captivity. That's why that scripture is so emphasized on. How it says, must go into captivity. Because, the Most High knows how, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians will start to think. We'll try and, say, well, it's not solidly saying that. That's why it says, must go into captivity. That's why I didn't say, like, might, or it's a possibility that they could go into captivity or any of that.
Right.
It said they gotta go. And that's what the Bible says. Any more, Cap?
No more questions. That's all the questions.
Okay. And it says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And when it talks about this, what is it talking about? It's talking about the nations of people that did it. Every nation that participated in this transatlantic slave trade, the enslaving Hebrews, wherever it was at, enslaving the Lord's people, this has to happen for them. Has to. I mean, it gets no more cut and dry than that.
All right.
Okay, so no more questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
Romans 2:10. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Gentiles. Romans 3:9. You just
okay. To the Jew first, because think about it, where is the truth spread at first? It had to be at Jerusalem. It had to go to Jerusalem first. Christ didn't just hop up and just go. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
He didn't detour, and go into Spain or nothing like that. He started there. You know what I'm saying? And the Apostle Paul was sent unto the Gentiles. Because you already, what would he say? Something about sowing upon, he says something like it's not good to sow upon another man's land. That's why the Apostle Paul didn't, start spreading the truth in Jerusalem. The truth was already hidden in Jerusalem. He had to go there first.
Right.
Then after that, the Apostle Paul, that's why the Apostle Paul went to Thessalonica and all of these different places to do what? To build the churches there.
That's all the questions.
Okay. And here's another thing too. If a heathen is a good servant, he's going to get rewarded. But he's still going to be a servant. I mean, hell, we get for being a good slave here, we get rewarded, don't we?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? For being a good slave. What's that guy? What's that dude's name? The guy that's over the housing deal, the brother, the sellout coon brother.
Jay-Z?
No, he's over the housing, like Section 8 and subsidized housing and all of that. That black dude.
I forgot his name. I forgot his name.
He was such a good servant, such a good sellout. He worked what they perceived as being good. He was good to them. And they rewarded him with a position like that. You look at black, hell, let's go to the fake Israelite group. The purple dudes. Their leader was rewarded with detective because of that deal that he did about them brothers when he put them brothers in all of them lineups. It was the brothers that was innocent, put them through 12 lineups and had them thrown in jail for a year anyway. Even though the brothers won a lawsuit for $750,000, he was still promoted to detective.
Right.
This is up under this kingdom. So in our kingdom, you have a devil that's checking other devils, or a Moabite that's checking other Moabites and putting them in their damn place up under us. He's gonna be rewarded. He's gonna be rewarded. He's gonna get some type of compensation for that. Who knows? He might even have his own little plot of land to grow rice or something. Hell, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But he's gonna, because he's showing himself as being a good servant, and he has the ability to control the other ones. For our benefit. So you can read that part again, Cap.
Which part?
Would do him to do it good.
Oh. But glory and honor and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Gentile.
So when we do good, right? I mean, because this stuff is kind of multi-layered. When we do good, we're gonna get the blessing and everything first. They'll get it somewhere down the line. Just like when the white man do good in this kingdom, he's preferred above us. Hell, he can even do, in a lot of cases, he can do less good and still get honored. And we can do a whole lot, do more than him, and we still get the honor after him in this kingdom.
Right.
Well, it's going to be the direct opposite of that in Christ's kingdom. We can do something good and we'll get the honor first. And they have to keep struggling and, you know what I'm saying, in order to do anything good and get a little piece of honor for them among their people.
And he said Romans 3 and 9. Let me read that.
Okay.
What then? Are we better than they? It's like Romans 3:9. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved both Jews and Gentiles that they are all under sin.
Okay. Now, who is up under sin? Because we have to think about it. I mean, look at who's prospering from sin. We don't prosper from sin. So this Jews and when we talk about Jews and Gentiles, what do we have to do when we out there? We have to convince, brothers, regardless of whatever walk of life that they in, you know what I'm saying, that they're under the sin too, that they're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. The ones that say they in the truth, and the ones that are in the Christian church. Or the ones that, he's an educated college dude. He has to be convinced and persuaded that, look, the way, because he thinks his life is right. He swears up and down that his life is right. He's a Kappa 5, whatever, you know what I'm saying? He swears up and down, according to his value system,
right.
He swears up and down that he's right. Because, you know why? Because he pleases white people. You know what I'm saying? He's the type, he pleases white people. So he thinks that his life is right. So what do we have to do with him, this Gentile? We have to convince him that he's under sin. And we have to convince him that the white man is not who he thinks who he thinks the white man is. He's not connected with the Most High. He thinks somehow that the white man is connected to the Most High because of everything that he got, and then his education and all of his professors that he look up to. He thinks that there's something great. So what we got to do is we got to convince him as a Gentile.
Any more questions right now?
Couple. Now, let me And we go to, all right, it went to the part that we're talking about the Most High have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Now what we're going to do, we're going to show the beginning of the, kind of the beginning of the split of this family from the rest of the Edomites. It happened similar to, how things happen, in our families today. Like, say, for instance, you got a man and a wife, and they have children. And this man, what he does is, he gets another woman, right?
Right.
And he ends up having a child with her. Now, say he got 6 or 7 children with his wife, and then, with his side girl, he ends up getting her pregnant.
Right.
And she has a child also. Now, how are those children with the wife going to look at the children that come by the side woman?
Right.
That's how they start to split into two. That's why you have Edom and then Amalekites are spoken of almost as if they're another nation of people.
Right.
Same thing happened here. We'll go into Genesis chapter 36. And we're going to start at the 8th verse. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom, naming after the nation of people that he will produce that will come out of his loins. And the generations, and these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bashemoth, the wife of Esau. And actually this is actually the precursor of the way that the white man views marriages today. Because the children by the wife, the one wife, is actually the legitimate child in their sight. The children by his one wife. And Ada, the wife of Esau, Reuel, the son of Bashemoth, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gotham, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz. Now you have the concubine here, right? Because what happened here at this time, the children of Esau started to grow more powerful than the children of Seir. And she made herself, his concubine, just so he can raise up, just so she can have an heir. Just so she can have an heir of him, that whom she could control. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife. Now, that automatically started a split right there between the two. The Jewish man is actually the children of the concubine.
Right.
While all the other families, they come out of Esau, all the other dukes of Esau are actually by Esau's wives, while she was the concubine. Concubine has to do with, like I said, you had two powerful houses. You had the house of Esau, you had the house of Seir. Well, the white man with his spirit of absorbing people and him gaining more power and them becoming weaker. Well, the same thing was in the play going right here, because now is the time of the rise of Esau and the time of the decline of the Horites.
All right.
right? Now what we're going to do is we'll see what type of people this was, because the book here, Josephus speaks about them also and some of their devices and some of their tactics before we go into their pre-flood origins. This is the book of Josephus. We're into a book called Antiquity of the Jews. This is the second chapter of that, and we'll read the little narrative before. It says how the Amalekites and the neighboring nations made war with the Hebrews, and were beaten and lost a great part of their army.
All right.
And this is also the reason why in the wilderness, the Amalekites were the very first people to come out to try and war with us at this time. You know, during the time they were the very first people to run out. Hell, the other families of Esau didn't even come running out.
All right.
It was Amalek and his people that come running out. Because Amalek hated us more, even more, than any of the others of Esau.
Right.
And he was a leader, a strong leader, and he was very, very good with getting people to join with him. Just like Nimrod was. You know, he was worse than Esau, than his grandfather Esau. The name of the Hebrews began already to be everywhere renowned, and rumors about them ran abroad. And they hate this because these rumors were good rumors. These wasn't the type that, like, say for instance today, what do? They make sure that on the television we have a bad, name, right? But there's a good name coming out against us, and they can't stand it. They hate this.
Right.
This made the inhabitants of those countries to be in no small fear. Accordingly, they sent ambassadors to one another and exhorted one another to defend themselves and to endeavor to destroy these men. Those that induced the rest to do so were such as inhabited Gabalitis and Petra. Where's Petra at today? This land Petra, that was Edom. That was Mount Seir right there. They were called Amalekites and were the most warlike of the nations, because in ancient times these people were very populous. It was a lot of them at that time. What King David did to them when they spread out as the sands of the sea, when he came with those 400 men and smoked all of them to the twilight, and then you had Joab come after him and start to cut them off. In Mount Seir, when he was up there for 6 months till he killed every, Edomite he could run across.
Right.
That right there, that made them shrink up so bad that they lost the name Amalek after that. Which partially fulfilled the prophecy that the Lord said when he would put out the name of Amalek from up under heaven. Even though the people are not put out, but the name was put out, but there's going to be a time where the people and the name is going to be gone. They were able to rebuild themselves. But at that time, when the kingdom was established, the Most High is going to send us out at that time to go to war with them again until all of them are cut off.
Right.
And that's an order. That's an order right there that the Most High gave. Right at a time where we at peace, we in the kingdom, and we sat back, sipping the strong and looking at all the fat cattle and all the riches and all the glory, and blessing the name of the Lord and everybody around. At that time, somebody's going to get the idea, wait a minute. And that's going to come into people's remembrance right then.
Right.
To cut off Amalek from up under heaven.
Somebody else had another. The same dude had a question again, if you want to hit it.
Go.
He said, if Gentiles will be led into captivity, but only to serve Jews, it's hard to get past these scripts. Paul going to preach to them the good news. However, we'll go into captivity later, which is like a big setup.
Well, here's the thing. Who the Apostle Paul went to preach to were the Gentiles of our people that were scattered into the lands.
Right.
He didn't go to preach to them. Why go preach to them when you got all of these Hebrews? You know what? That would be like us on 10th Street. We go to Carmel for camp. To try and save them. Right? That wouldn't make no sense. The Hebrews are here. Why in the hell would we go to where the heathen Gentiles are at to go and save them? Why do that? They're not heirs of the promise. We will have to get our brethren who are looked at as the Gentiles. We would have to get them. Hell, you got Israelites in Vietnam. You think we'll just go to the Vietnamese? No. What will we do? We will look for the Vietnamese, for the ones that are the war babies, you know what I'm saying, that's fathered by Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians that's over there. We'll go right for them. What the hell would we do going for the Vietnamese for? What we do going for them for? You know what I'm saying? The Apostle Paul didn't transgress what Christ said. When Christ said, go not into the ways of the Gentiles, into the cities of Samaria, enter ye not. You know what I'm saying? The Apostle Paul went straight to the Hebrews. Any more, Cap?
No, that's it. That's all he said.
Okay. Look, your white woman is not going to be saved.
Right.
I mean, bottom line, your white woman is not going to be saved, man. Your white woman, she's not going to get salvation. You know what I'm saying? Salvation is meant for the Israelites.
Right.
And what is salvation? Rulership upon the earth. That's what it is. Those that induced the rest to do so were such as inhabited GEN.YAHANNA and Petra. They were called Amalekites and were the most warlike of the nations that lived thereabout, and whose kings exhorted one another and their neighbors to go to this war.
He said, if a cat acted like a dog but didn't have his nature, would we call that a cat with a dog mentality? With a dog mentally?
Okay, what were they both born as? One was born as a cat, one was born as a dog. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They're two different animals. Well, let me tell you who two other different animals are. Black people and white people. We're different animals. You see what I'm saying? We're different from one another. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you had to use a dog as an example of that, right? The dog was raised around cats, and he run around thinking he's a cat. What does he have to do? Well, the dogs come to retrieve their own. They're not going to go to the cats and try to make the cats dogs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They would go to the dog to show the dog how to be a dog. You see what I'm saying? That's what they would do.
All right. That's it. That's all he said.
All right. Obviously, this man is the type person, you know what I'm saying, in that make-believe world, if he was a dog and seen he would try and turn the cats into dogs and not even worry about the dog that's acting like a cat.
Right.
He would try and sit there and give the cats the honor of dogs. You see what I'm saying? And just leave the dog and let him just act like a cat and say, well, you ain't trying to get the dog truth, so I'm going to the cats. Which you wanted to go to the cats anyway. anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's some female felines that you like. You know what I'm saying? You know, through your inordinate love. All of that is based on an inordinate love. You know,
Right.
and while he's testing us, you know, concerning these Gentile questions and stuff like that, that brother needs to look inside his own heart. What makes you want to skip over Jacob and go right to Esau? Think about that for a second. You did that when you was in the world. So obviously there's no change. Am I right, Cap?
Right.
Obviously, in the case, you did that when you was in the world. You was quick to talk about, you know, I got white friends, and my white friends do me better than my black ones. You know what I'm saying? My white friend, this is my brother right here. This white dude, he's my brother. You know, in reality, he only likes hanging with you because you got the weed. You know,
Right.
You got good weed. He likes being around you. You know what I'm saying? Because of that, and then he trying to, if you can fight, he wants you to fight some people for him and stuff like that. He's using you. You know, white people know how to they know how to compartmentalize relationships.
Right.
Black people don't. You know what I'm saying? We know how to do it with other black people.
Right.
But when it comes to a heathen, it's we all of a sudden we in the mood for love.
Right.
We are ready to, just because we smoke weed with this devil, we're ready to make him our brother.
Right.
When the devil sees you, on the other hand, is the Negro with the weed. Somebody he likes to get high with, you know, he's in it for his use of you.
Right.
You in it thinking that there's some type of bond and pact between you and him. And what you're doing is you don't sit there and then took that same mentality that you had in the world, which you believe that you're in the truth now, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? And then sat there and then carried that same mentality into what you are calling the truth that you think that you're in. Where's your change?
Somebody got a question as well.
Good.
Said, Salaki, sir, if I may ask, where does the whole idea of Christ is God thing come from? And how do I cut a Christian on it?
Well, you cut them simply this way. Christ is called the Son of God, not God himself.
All right.
Just cut him like that. When it says he's the Son. You know?
And Christ prayed to the Most High.
Right.
In the garden. He said, Father, which art in heaven.
Right.
Hallowed be thy name. How is he praying to himself? And
right.
talking to himself in heaven when he's on earth.
Right. Exactly. They are two different beings. They agree on it. Here's the thing. This is where people get confused, though. A lot of people, this is why they think, you know, the Most High in Christ is one being and all of that. Because the Most High in Christ is able to do something that regular father and son on the earth cannot never do. Is to be in total agreement on everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when he said, me and I and the Father are one, you know what I'm saying? What he's saying is we are in agreement on everything.
Right.
There's nothing that Christ and the Father don't agree on. Now,
right.
That's virtually impossible for people to do. You know what I'm saying? But Christ was able to do it with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? They're two different beings. You know what I'm saying? The Most High being the head and Christ being up under him. You see what I'm saying? And when it talks about, you know, the body being, you know, it's like the one body concept. They're one. They're in agreement on everything. And the angels, you know, that's why when the scriptures, you know, when an angel comes and speak to a person, they say, we've seen the face of God, because they're not saying that angel was God himself. He wasn't God himself.
Right.
But they're one, and they're oneness. You know what I'm saying? To where so much so to where that angel has a countenance, you know what I'm saying, a fierce countenance, just like, say for instance, something that we can see. GEN.YAHANNA and GEN.YAHNNA are like unto Commanding General Yohanna, so much so, you know, in a lot of instances they never look alike.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, that kind of oneness, even though they're three different dudes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there's so much of agreement, you know what I'm saying, that they're damn near alike. You know what I'm saying? Everything that we do, all of our camps is one. You know what I'm saying? That's why California looks just like Philly. You know what I'm saying? You see a camp in Cali, you know what I'm saying? It's laid out just like a camp would be in Philadelphia, or just like in DC, or just like in New York. You know what I'm saying? Or just like in Florida.
Right.
That oneness right there is what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because they're two different beings. They're not the same exact being.
That other dude, he said something else again.
Come.
He said, my point is Jews who have Gentile state of mind. The word, don't beat around the bushes. If these was Jews with a Gentile state of mind, please provide scripture.
All right.
You can get the one where it said they were Gentiles.
Come.
Get that one. Then you got
in times past were Gentiles.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good perfect one right there. Here, this dude, that Gentile thing all the way.
Yeah.
Well, if you was in the, if he was so adamant about the truth, the way he is about the Gentiles, if he was so adamant about his own people, you know what I'm saying? If he is about the Gentiles, you know what I'm saying? He might be somebody in the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then he's adamant about the wrong damn thing. This dude cares nothing about his people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This guy absolutely cares nothing about his people.
All right. The scripture is 1 Corinthians 12:2.
You gonna read it from Cal?
Yeah, I'll read it. 1 Corinthians 12:2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles.
That ye were Gentiles, and what else does it say after that, Cap?
Carried away unto these dumb idols.
Wow, look at that. It says, in time past ye were Gentiles, carried away. When you're carried away by something, that means this thing, like, say for instance, we in every religion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we were carried away in those religions. Well, I've been a Baptist my whole life. That's what I do. I'm a Baptist. I've been a Muslim. I was raised a Muslim.
Right.
I was born a Muslim. You got brothers. My name is such and such a Muhammad. I was born with that.
Right.
He was carried away. Even though he never been to Mecca, you know what I'm saying, never went around and kissed that rock, but he was still carried away by the dumb idol of that rock sitting over and halfway across the damn world that he never even been to. That's being carried away with dumb idols.
Right.
I was raised Catholic. He run around with the crucifix on his neck. The picture of white Jesus on the wall. The cross on the wall. And you bet that every time he see that cross, every time he have a black thought and he look and he see that picture of white Jesus, like, man, Jesus would never do that.
Right.
Jesus would never be, Jesus wasn't no racist. So I can't prefer my own, over nobody else, because Jesus would have never done that.
Right.
That's being carried away. You carried away with the dumb idols.
Right. He said, who wrote this? He said, who wrote this?
Who wrote Corinthians?
I don't know. He says who wrote this.
The Apostle Paul, whom he referred to earlier. All of a sudden, Paul's not a legitimate writer now. Ain't that something? When he was sitting there, when he could sit there and say that Paul went to the Gentiles, all of a sudden, Apostle Paul was prophet. He was all of that then, but now he's saying who wrote this just because he was cut.
All right.
Now he turned on Paul. How you gonna turn on the Apostle Paul just because you got cut?
All right.
Any more on that scripture, Cap? I might as well go ahead and just,
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 12:2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
And where is he at? The Apostle Paul is in Corinth. Where's Corinth? Corinth is in Jerusalem?
Right.
No, it's not. Corinth is not in Jerusalem.
Right.
He's talking to people that were born and raised in Corinth, just like you got niggas, born and raised in Indianapolis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He said, can you give the script again? 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. And we pretty much out of time.
Yeah, I ain't even go into but it's cool. It's cool with these questions though. I'm cool with it. I just say this class for next time.
You can go ahead and pull the prayers out.
Okay. We got the I.S.U.P.K coming out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohanna.
Right.
Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10 means tenth in the Hebrew, Mayashua. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you.
All right.
Give to Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund. You will offer for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming Holy Convocation. Announce Holy Convocation in sheet. Remind Akim and Afwaf to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black. Boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that being said, Amajim, upon Hakidam, rise and face the east. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Badash.
Badash.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Lapaka.
Malakoka.
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Zaka.
Latzazaka.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Baharataza.
Baharataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Mashamayim.
Mashamayim.
Thundernow.
Thundernow.
Come.
Come.
Call.
Call.
Yawam.
The wall.
Masalak now.
Masalak now.
Kabuwapi now.
Kabuwapi now.
Masalak now.
Masalak now.
Kabuwapi now.
Kabuwapi now.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Nabayah now.
Nabiyah now.
Manasai one.
Manasai one.
A ball.
A ball.
Kawashai now.
Kawashai now.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Right.
Right.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Wa'ala.
Wa'ala.
Wa'atapara.
Wa'atapara.
Nawalayim.
Nawalamim.
Amma.
Amma.
The English. Our Father.
Our Father.
Which art in heaven.
Which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth as it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread.
our daily bread.
Forgive us of our debts
Forgive us of our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the
and
kingdom
the power,
and the
and
power
the glory,
and the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Ba'ashim Yahushua,
Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Bakashah,
Babakashah.
Thundernow,
The thunder now.
Akah,
Akah.
Akah,
Akah.
Lapa'ah,
La'ba'ah.
Kamaka'ah,
Kamaka'ala.
Wakal Maruwa,
Akah Marawa.
Akah,
Akah.
Latahar,
Latahar.
Amatazariah,
Amatazariah.
Akah,
Akah.
Lahakwi,
Lahakwi.
Amaki,
Amati.
Akah,
Akah.
Arakawa,
Arakawa.
Ataba'ala,
Atama'ala.
Garshan,
Garsha.
Ba'ashim Yahushua,
Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Barama,
The one our month.
English, Yahweh,
Yahweh.
the name of Yahushua,
Name Yahushua.
please give us the power,
Please give us the power.
power to heal
Power to heal.
all manner of sickness
All manner of sickness.
and all manner of disease,
And all manner of disease.
the power to cleanse the leper,
The power to cleanse the leper.
power to raise the dead,
Power to raise the dead.
power against unclean spirits,
Power against unclean
cast
spirits.
them out.
To cast them out.
In the name of Yahushua,
Name Yahushua.
thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa Yahushua,
Yahushua.
Amaka'ala,
Amalek.
Wa Alahayim,
Walahayim.
Mazaba'ah,
Matzabah.
Alawat Yohanna,
Alawapihana.
Halawat,
Alawapih.
Azrayayim,
Asorayim.
Hakatayayim,
Akotzayim.
Hakaye,
Akayeli,
Wakwaki,
Wakwati,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bashim Yahushai,
Hashem Yahushai,
the water Amah.
the one Amah.
Bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahushai,
and Yahushai,
and Michael,
and Michael,
and the angels,
and the angels,
commanded GEN.YAHANNA,
Commander General Yohanna,
generals,
the generals,
captains,
the captains,
officers,
the officers,
the troopers,
the troopers,
and the sisters.
and the sisters.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushai,
thank you.
thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Yabaraka,
Yabaraka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Washmarka,
Wayashamarka,
Yahweh,
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 Ben Yahweh,
Ayaka,
Ayaka,
Wayakanka,
Wayakanka,
Yeshua,
Yasha'ah,
Yahweh,
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 Ben Yahweh,
Ayaka,
Ayaka,
Wayasham,
Wayasham,
Maka,
Aka,
Shalom,
Shalom,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bashim Yahushai,
Hashem Yahushai,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapah,
Rapah,
Magun,
Agun,
Hagun,
Agun, the Thurman family,
Thurman family,
the Sutton family,
Sutton family,
the Hill family,
Hill family,
all destroyed of Israel,
all destroyed of Israel,
Yeah.
the Puckett family,
Puckett family,
Hall family,
Hall family,
Hayes family,
Hayes family,
Cook family,
Cook family,
and all destroyed of Israel.
and all destroyed of Israel.
Done. English, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee.
Yahweh bless thee and keep thee.
Yahweh make his face shine upon thee,
Yahweh make his face shine upon
and
thee,
be gracious unto thee.
and be gracious unto thee.
Yahweh
Yahweh
lift up his countenance upon thee,
lift up his countenance upon thee,
and give thee peace.
give thee peace.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of
in
Yahushai,
the name of Yahushai,
bless,
bless,
heal,
heal,
shield,
shield,
protect.
protect.
The name of the lovers we just named.
Name the loved ones we just named.
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
and all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushai,
listen to us now,
listen to us now,
right now.
right now.
The evils and curses
Send evils and curses
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and destruction
to the heathen
to the heathen
that speak against
that
us,
speak against us,
thy prophets,
the prophets,
the teachers,
the teachers,
the princes,
the princes,
priests,
the priests,
Israelite brothers,
Israelite brothers,
and the school.
and the school.
Send evils and curses
Send evils and curses
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and destruction
to the heathen,
to the heathen.
and shake loose the treasure,
Shake loose the treasure,
the riches of Israel
the riches of Israel
that refuse to give to the school.
that refuse to give to the school.
What's their riches?
Force their riches
To enter into thy sanctuary.
into thy
Send
sanctuary.
evils and curses
Send evils and curses
and punishment and destruction,
and punishment and destruction
and death to the Edomites
and death to the
and
Edomites
the nation
and the nations
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
court system,
the court system,
prison system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and army,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
Pope,
Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
skinheads,
Posse Comitatus,
Pascal Komatasi,
gay movement,
the gay movement,
the lesbian movement,
the lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of
the
witchcraft,
space program,
NASA space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marines,
Wall Street,
Wall Street,
open up the internet
open up the internet
and the airways,
and the airways,
cable access channel,
cable access
and
channel,
the radio channel.
and radio channels.
Evict the spirit
Convict the spirit
of any of thy people
of any of thy
that
people
seek to stop
that
us
seek to stop
and
us
bring swift destruction
and bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the
that
heathen
stand in the way
and stand in the way
or try to stop
or
us
try to stop
from
us
broadcasting your words
broadcasting your
throughout
words
the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues,
Let loose all the plagues,
cause them to go to and fro
cause them to go to and fro
through the earth
through the earth
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plague
Let the plagues
shake the house of the thief
shake the house of the thief
and the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahushua,
Let Yahushua,
Michael,
Michael,
and Gabriel
and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucers
come down with the flying
and
saucers
punish all the heathen
and punish all the
that
heathen
come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known
Cause it to be known
by all
by all
that is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread
Cause it to be spread
through the media
through the media
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahushua,
Then Yahushua,
thank you.
thank you.
Always.
Always.
So be it.
So be it.
Sar. And of Israel, Mother Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakatah. Yazbatah, courtesy salute to the sisters. Amadu Shabbat, Amajim, Barak,
Yahweh Shema Al-Tah Ba'Shem Yahushua.
Yazbatah, class dismissed.